Hey, yo, what's good? Check it out. This your boy Elder Sensei, one half of the legendary Artifacts. You are right now in tune to my man Tim Einenkel at the library on rapstation.com. Let's get it popping, y'all. Artifacts. Peace, Elder Sensei. I'm out.
I'm rising like the vapors from the dank. Off the mirror in my pocket, had to break it for a shank. What you think? Walk the plank is my motherfucking attitude. Right hand on the wheel, ever walk the window, leaning to the left.
Boots Riley, the front man for the Coup and Street Sweeper Social Club, joins me today on the library on rapstation.com. Thanks for joining me, Boots Riley.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
So, no problem. I want to start out by getting, if you could just tell us what your definition of revolutionary music is, just for the listeners that might not know.
I believe that the kind of society I want to make is one where the people democratically control the wealth that we create with our labor. That means that the working class has to take control of the system, and we have, and in order for that to happen, people are going to have to collectively run this economic system, and we're going to have, in order to do that, we're going to have to take physical control of the facilities that we work at. Right, and rearrange the way that the profit flows. And in order to do that, people are going to have to understand the class nature of the system. People are going to have to understand that exploitation is the primary contradiction of capitalism, not consumerism, but exploitation is the primary contradiction. Once you understand that, then you understand the power that the person that's working at a job actually has. And so the key is not just to understand this relationship, but the key is also to feel powerful enough to change this relationship and to understand that, you know, the workers can withhold labor and change the situation through just that. And to understand that through examples, not just through hearing about it theoretically, but to see examples of that. So where the music comes in, for music to be revolutionary, it has to be music that encourages the withholding of labor as a tool for social change. Of course, in an organized way. I don't mean just quit your job.
Right.
But you know, it has to encourage. It has to not just be about anger and frustration. It has to highlight the actual possibilities and highlight the actual power that we have. And when you do that, often you're going to be optimistic. And so that's one reason why the Coup's music is often like confused with party music, or is often seen as being happy, because it's optimistic. That doesn't mean that we're not involved right now in a deadly system. That just means that we know we can change it.
You've said in a past interview that what is important to you about music/art is that it feels emotionally true to you at first. So it doesn't mean, like, if you hear revolutionary music, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to like it. And there's also music that's non-revolutionary music that you said you like.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, how do you know when something is emotionally true? I mean, for yourself, what are you hearing in the music that you're loving?
It feels passionate. I don't really know exactly. It doesn't feel. It's not a technical thing,
right?
You know, it's and it's not removed. You know, a lot of times, and I think, you know, I made a name for myself making, you know, witty, very involved, or clever lyrics. You know, like a lot of times lyricists are considered to be lyricists because of being clever and clever in specific ways that have to do with similes, which a lot of times those similes are called metaphors, but they're not. They're similes, and sometimes with metaphor, and and doing these real technical things that actually subtract you, separate you from the actual emotion that you're feeling, and it doesn't speak to some simple truths. But what it does is it kind of gets that, oh shit, like, oh, he's technically good, he can do this and do that, and it's like the difference between watching gymnastics and watching dancing, right?
Right.
Gymnastics is technically, they can sometimes do a lot more than dancers can do.
Right.
But dancers feel what they're doing, feel what they're doing, and and so in order to be that technical and that clever and that witty, we're just thinking about how to impress people, which is, there's something to be said for that. Whatever, a lot of what we do is to impress people. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm trying to make a piece of art that really, really puts forward how I feel, I'm not gonna want to be disengaged from it enough to just stick with the clever, witty stuff. One reason that I don't like spoken word and a lot of times I never believed written poets. Like, I didn't get into I read a lot of poetry, but I didn't get into it because I didn't believe the poet.
Oh, yeah.
I could tell they were trying to impress me. Right? Like, you don't really feel this. You're writing something so that I can, so that I can feel that you're a good writer. That's two different things. I mean, think about the music that really moves you, like the singing songs or whatever, the soul, the funk, even the pop and the rock music.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh wow, their lyrics are so clever, Like people are writing stuff and you can hear them thinking. And that's cool. That's one sort of way, and that's something I've done a lot of. But I think I moved on to actual songwriting.
Right.
I
actually want to go in the last album, Sorry to Bother You. It seems like you take on personas and kind of like a magical reality. And I think a good example of this is in the song "We Got a Lot to Teach You," Cassius Green. I was wondering, I was wondering whether your broader exposure to kind of new audiences and new experiences in your career have shaped the stories you kind of feel more confident in telling.
No, I think it's just trying to tell new stories. Right? You just like, I'm not gonna want to write another Fat Cats and Bigger Fish. I'm not gonna want to write another Me and Chief the 10th and the 79 Granada Last Night. I want to write new stories that have different plot lines. That song is also supposed to be a dream that a character in the film version of Sorry to Bother You. I wrote a script, screenplay that actually is coming out on McSweeney's Quarterly at the end of August.
Oh, right.
And it anyway, and so the main character is Cassius Green. And in that, he's having it doesn't happen in the movie, but the song is supposed to be a nightmare that he has. However, but it's a story in and of itself. And so I don't know. I think what motivates me more is trying to just be excited about what I'm doing. And for me to be excited about what I'm doing, I have to do new things. I have to challenge myself. I have to explore new textures and storylines and ways of writing.
As the monster stood before his colleagues, he sang angelically and wiped the blood off his fangs. The papers on the boardroom table were stained from corpses piled on top of them slain. One monster yelled at me, "You've got the brains," and traced his claw along the table's wood grain. It smelled like leather, old spice and pain. His assistant, when yanked by choke chain, explained,
"We got a lot to teach you, catch this brain. We got a lot to teach you, catch this brain."
The assistant crouched at the monster's feet, proudly in a puddle of urine and meat. The monsters all howled at the morning spreadsheet above cacophonous screams from below in the street. The gargoyles that guard the building wept. I quietly calculated routes for retreat. One beast stuck his talons out as if to greet and said, "Welcome to the good life, son, take a seat."
We got a lot to teach you, catch this brain. We got a lot to teach you, catch this brain.
The beast who was frothing between his tusks said, "They work it, we run it, they shouldn't fuss." The order of things is basically just. I heard cheers from the creatures trapped in the air ducts. I told them to smother in their mountains of stuff and headed for the elevator door in disgust. They said, "You've forgotten, you're one of us." I looked down and my tail rattled it and I cussed.